Anyway, hold on. There was a video here from the Click.
This next post is probably going to be controversial. Let's get into it, shall we?
Men don't fall down the alt-right MRA pipeline because the left isn't doing good enough
I know this tweet. I know this account.
outreach. They choose to subscribe to a fascist ideology because they have an investment in maintaining their position in the social hierarchy, and the liberation of other groups threaten that.
I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privilege. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't. No, they're right actually, and should say it. The left's descend into obsession with identity politics.
Holy shit, for a second I thought that was Internet Historian. Oh my god, did you guys hear that too?
Doesn't. No, they're right actually, and should say it. The left's descend
That right, dude, oh my god, holy shit, like a fucking jump scare.
into obsession with identity politics means all these boys from these spaces is essentially being told they're inherently monstrous or will grow up to be so. 12-year-old boys are not evil. They're children, and they're susceptible to manipulation from these fricks on the right who have sadly correctly identified that large swaths of the left will ignore and shun them. People turn to extremist factions when they feel ignored and dehumanized. I also think so much of extremism and odd opinions online comes from just when there's a gap from something. I see this with many stuff too. I see this regarding mental health, for example, where it's very easy to recognize there's a gap in accessibility and knowledge and how much the public knows about it, which of course gives result that you have a lot of social media and people that go to these platforms mainly for attention and clout, but they also spread a lot of misinformation. So if that vacuum didn't
I like this guy's voice. Yeah, the Click's got a very, very nice voice. Yeah, I know that things haven't changed that much with regards to this topic, but it is really nice that the manosphere topic has kind of like fallen apart a little bit. The nice thing about MRA idols is that they have a very limited lifespan, because their claim that they can fix what's wrong with you never actually works. And as a consequence of that, like, it's only a matter of time before people shift away, right? Like, you know, this happened with the red pill and with a lot of incel community stuff. It does shift more to an extent. Sneeko did say the red pill is dying, but he's also a pedo, so I wouldn't take his I wouldn't take his word for too much. Nick is as well. Fuentes, he was full on defending grooming children the other day. Yeah, anyway, like, I don't know, man. I really hope we get better at offering something to guys. Like, young men feel so lost right now. I know I've talked about this a lot, and I'm not trying to, like, hammer on about it over and over and over. And women face a lot of problems, too. I'm not saying they don't. Of course they do. But there's something very, like, uniquely alienating about being a young man, because society and people around you and culture is pulling you in so many different directions, and it can make it really difficult to know where you want to go. And when you don't know where you want to go, you're not aspirational, you don't have much hope for the future, and it makes you really vulnerable to bad narratives that will give you that decisive attitude, you know? It's pretty messed up. It's not good. Are there like any content creators that actually give good advice to men, like their main thing? I don't know. Honest to God, I'm like, I don't want to toot my own horn on this, except I totally do. But I genuinely think I'm one of the best at it, because you have to hit that point where you have to be progressive, but you also have to not bullshit people. That's what a lot of people on the left fuck up with, right? Like, you have people like, oh, you're feminist, man? Dude, cool, whatever. Yeah, you're progressive? Hell yeah. But then, like, you want to talk about young men's issues. And when people talk to young girls, they real talk that shit, okay? I've seen the way the left talks about this. Hey, listen, girl, okay, I'm going to tell you all this, like, incredibly high-level info about, like, sexual assault and, like power dynamics and all that. But then when talking to guys, I feel like a lot of the time the way the left talks to guys is the way parents talk to the older child when they know that they have a tendency to, like, get into fights with the younger child. Like, there's like a 12-year-old boy and like an 8-year-old boy, and they like rough it up sometimes, and the parents are like, now listen, older child, like, all right, you have to remember you're pretty strong, so you don't want to hurt anyone, like that kind of shit. It's like, that's not untrue, but that's also not the same as comprehensive life advice, you know? Like, you can give the lessons or whatever, but isn't it a little bit up that when people think of, like, what's the advice I want to give to young men, a lot of the things that lefties think, like, first off the bat is like, how to teach them not to rape women. Like, yeah, that's important, don't get me wrong, but is that really the first thing to your mind when you're thinking of, like, a 12-year-old boy? Like, that's like, hey, do you have any, like, life advice for, like, young guys? Yeah, well, here's some advice not raping. Like, I know it's important, but, like, is that actually, like, the first, like, you're talking to, like, a young kid or whatever, and it's like, okay, lesson number 1 to help you find meaning in life and to, like, help guide you and give you, like, a sense of purpose or whatever, okay? Let me teach you about consent. It's like, I agree that's important, but I feel like there's some very basic identity steps. And I feel like it's ineffective too, because the left gets lambasted often for like being super out of touch and like condescending when giving advice to guys. And it's like, you know, if young men need to be taught about consent, and they do, those young men aren't gonna listen to a lesson that opens on that front. Like, you might as well be throwing them over to like the like socially the like socially decentralized form of like a corporate you know, like sensitivity training meeting or whatever. It's like it's weird. It's weird. It's weird. Vosh, is it kind of pedophilic? No, no, it's not that it's pedophilic. It's that it presumes a lot of malice and evil in young boys that I see from the left and I just don't think is appropriate. I just feel like it says a lot about your inability to engage with a demographic if the first lesson that you go towards a young boy with is something like that. It signifies how out of touch you are, is the thing. Yeah, you don't want to begin a conversation with "you're a criminal in waiting." Exactly. Yeah, exactly, you know? It reminds me of like that really misplaced attitude towards like 1990s black advocacy or whatever, where it was like, we're going to go into the hood and we're going to teach all these kids with their sagging pants, hey, listen, man, it's not cool to do drive-bys. Like, is gang violence a problem in the black community? Yeah, but like if you talk to like some young black men, you're like, now listen up, young black men, we have a whole bunch of holistic life advice that we're going to offer you. Lesson 1, don't sling dope and shoot people with Glocks, yo. So, I mean, is that good advice? Sure. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I guess that's okay advice. Probably better to not do those things. But I feel like, you know, does that have to be the first principle? My name is Skylar White. Yo. Yeah. It's like presumptuous and condescending, if nothing else. From what I've heard, you and Destiny do a decent job about giving dudes advice without being preachy or cynically trying to... I don't know what he's been on lately because I don't really see his content anymore. I mean, I don't know if he's like going on stream and saying like, okay, you know what the lefties don't want you to do? Bludgeon women to death. Now here's the plan, boys. Like I don't know what he's hitting people with now. I think I remember him being pretty good with the real talk stuff. He used to be pretty good about it, like on an economic level, when he would talk about before he joined the Just Move arc, where the solution to rising urban house prices is for everyone to move to North Carolina or whatever. But he used to be pretty good about that with economics too. He's more proletarian than I am, you know, in terms of like upbringing. So maybe it's like an experiential thing.